Hello, this is Sasa, and I have a message today from my spirit guides that I would love to share with you about enjoying life fully, and why we don't always enjoy life as well as we were designed to, actually. So, enjoyment is a key ingredient to enjoying life. I know that they're saying that, and it's a funny thing to say. And it comes down to a decision to appreciate life. We do have the capacity to make a choice to appreciate life more fully. And we do that all the time through little, things we find that come together that bring us closer to the feeling of enjoyment. And it comes in waves, and we experience ups and downs, and we experience highs and lows, and it comes in a field of possibility of enjoyment. And we step into that mostly through an awareness that it is available. And when we know that it is available, we absolutely are true to ourselves. It's interesting, this knowing that it is available, that we can find this pleasure in life, is a key ingredient to our true self. I don't know why that's the caveat here, that it is our noticing of the availability of pleasure that is our awakening moment. Pleasure is the awakening, actually. And Gaia is so in charge of pleasure that she holds space for so much of it to exist on the planet. And we see it in little ways, and we see it in big ways, and we have sensual pleasure and love, and the fortitude to move forward is kind of a sort of enjoyment that we can find. I find it in certain moments of my life where I feel like I need to keep moving forward, and it brings me to some kind of pleasure, actually. I don't know what that's about. It's an interesting paradigm to be in, to notice that when I allow myself to create and do and make, even if it feels a little challenging, I find pleasure. And it isn't pushing. I want to be clear that this isn't pushing up against a problem. This is very much about listening for what is available and noticing that the pleasure is present in the possible creation that I'm stepping into. So you notice as you give yourself that say yes to art or crafting or writing or filmmaking or whatever it is you do that is of profound joy, gardening or house up leveling your home, or whatever projects you bring into your life, or finding the perfect job actually can feel this way too. This knowing that if we take that step into the pleasure principle, which is interestingly tied to our creative power. And our creative power is deciding to be creative, our decision to be a powerful creator. So you create the life you want by deciding what you want. Deciding is so powerfully important to the shifts that you are bringing into your pleasure playground. And, we have a sense that pleasure is kind of a naughty word. To have pleasure, to be pleasured, is also naughty. And I feel like we need to actually embrace all pleasures that are in alignment with our true self. So, I know some people who are not necessarily into sexual pleasure, and that's not their jam. And I think that they are being true to themselves. So they find pleasure in other things. And they find their pleasure tremendously rich in life. So I'm speaking to everyone from whatever angle you come at pleasure from, knowing that you are actually very aligned with your true nature when you step into the choice of allowing the joyful condition to enter in, saying, I may not see it in this moment, but I absolutely know it exists, and I will find it, and I will step into that knowing fully. And I hesitate to say step into the frequency, because frequency is so convoluted and hard to comprehend, and it's really about absolute knowing and precious recognition of what is possible. And that is really the message today, is that you have the joyful opportunity to step into a reality that is based entirely on the pleasure principle in life. And pleasure is one of the key tenets of Gaia, actually. She has 5 key tenets, and pleasure is one of them. It's a very important aspect of reality as well, because it means that we get to become people who enjoy things, and we become sweeter, gentler, more precious and loving when we absolutely enjoy ourselves. It makes us want more people in our lives. It makes us want more enjoyment in life. It makes us seek new outlets for creative expression. And that is a gift to the world, absolutely. When you give your creative prowess to the world through seeking the pleasure embedded in the act of making. We are born to make. Making is a key element of our beingness. And that's why kids get their crayons out and don't worry about what they're drawing. They just get out the stuff that's in their head and they put it down on paper, and they enjoy the act of moving and putting bright colors on the page and not thinking so hard about what is giving them joy. They just enjoy things more. And we get to do that too. There is a sense here that judgment of what is happening gets in the way of us actually finding that joyful expression and that creative power, because we are critical of what we make. We're critical of who we are. We're critical of things in the world that, I'm not saying you don't need to be critical of things, but I'm going to say that sometimes being critical can hold you back from embracing your true and witnessing your true power and embracing it fully. So don't let your inner critic get in the way of you doing stuff, and understand that even if you notice what's wrong in the world, it doesn't necessarily have to infect your creative power. You get to stay creative and not worry about what's happening outside of you in the biggest way possible, whatever that looks like, okay? So, because I'm speaking to people who are oppressed too. There's seriously, I don't want to gaslight anybody who's dealing with oppression. Oppression is a very real thing, and it can deny us pleasure and deny us creative power. And that, my friends, is a fight, and we fight and we fight and we fight. And that is how we get through it. We keep going. So here I am channeling and doing this thing that is strange to some, and I do it with great enjoyment, and I don't worry about what the powers that be will think about it. And I know that it creates a ripple effect in how I am seen, and I am really open about that. I understand that it is actually a little bit of a potential for me to be oppressed for my viewpoints and the things that I say and the things that I witness in the world. And here I go. Because why? I enjoy it so much. I enjoy it so much more than I do the have the worry about what's going to happen to me for the most part. And I'm not going to say it doesn't wake me up at night sometimes too. I didn't expect to talk about being oppressed or anyone having oppression in their lives in this video, but it is a factor. I want to be open about the fact that what we experience in our country, the United States, is actually creating so much distress in our lives that it is creating a ripple effect of people feeling worried about what is going to happen for our future and our vision for the planet that we wanted to live on, not just our country. So, and that's not for everybody, but that is probably a solid majority, actually. And that is what statistics actually say. It is a solid majority of people here that don't want what's happening to happen. And that can impinge upon our ability to find our joy. And I suspect that joy is the key, actually, to the battle. If we're going to battle, if you're not interested in that, that's one thing. But I want to suggest that keeping your joy and keeping your pleasure intact as much as you possibly can is the revolution. So fucking be a revolutionary and do this. It is meant for you to enjoy your life. Let it happen. Don't let anything tell you that you're not allowed to. Your life is meant for joy, and joy is the caption on existence. Joy. That's what every spiritual being, every being of spirit who came in said joy was the caption. But we didn't make it happen. I don't know why, but I will say that it didn't happen overnight. It happened when we chose it. Choosing joy is how we got to the frequency piece. Choosing it is the frequency. Choice is frequency. So get in touch with your frequency and choose your path forward. And let it be pleasure, joy, passion, power. Your power intact. Your power manifested in life through whatever brings you pleasure and joy. And I could talk on and on about finding the things that bring you pleasure and joy, but I'm going to suggest that you start small with any little thing that you can find and find your way in. Wiggle your way in there, okay? Okay. That's it for today. I appreciate you being here. Thank you for bringing your beautiful creative power to the world and exploring your joy and expansion through whatever brings you pleasure. I am so grateful to you for being a pleasure seeker and for being the kind of person that we all look up to, because we need people who are shining a light on pleasure and joy in this world right now more than ever. Grateful for you. And keep going. It's coming together in the long view, yes, but it is coming together and we will figure it all out. Thank you so much for shining your light.